From the dawn of time, humanity has grappled not merely with the visible struggles of land and resources, but with a far more elusive and potent conflict, the mastery over the minds of others. What if the very blueprints for this dominion were etched into the ancient currents of the human psyche, waiting to be unveiled? Carl Jung, with his profound understanding of the deep unconscious, recognized that society often coerces us into conformity, to live without interrogation, to accept without resistance. This, he observed, is the deceptively easy path to a life mired in regret and mediocrity, a life where one is often prey to the manipulations of the unseen. Throughout this discourse, we will not merely enumerate principles, but rather immerse ourselves in the vast ocean of Carl Jung's insights, distilling a potent manual for comprehending and navigating the hidden dimensions that shape perception and influence. Prepare yourself, for the knowledge you are about to receive holds the power to fundamentally reorient your understanding of the world and your place within it. The first principle, often overlooked in the pursuit of external validation, is the unveiling of the shadow feminine. This fundamental law asserts that beneath the veneer of societal expectation and cultivated persona lies a profound, often unsettling, wellspring of primal instincts, raw desires, and unacknowledged power within every woman. It is the repository of all that has been deemed unacceptable, unseemly, or dangerous by a world quick to categorize and control. Why does this law function with such potency? Because the human psyche abhors a vacuum, and what is repressed does not vanish. It festers in the depths of the unconscious, often manifesting in unexpected, even explosive, ways. Jung understood that the denied aspects of the self, particularly those deemed dark or negative, gain autonomy and project themselves onto others or erupt in destructive behaviors. The shadow feminine, when unacknowledged, can become a force of subtle manipulation, passive aggression, or overwhelming emotional turbulence, not out of malice, but out of a desperate craving for integration. Consider the ancient Greek myth of Medea, the sorceress. Her story is not merely one of betrayal and revenge, but a stark illustration of the shadow feminine unleashed. Medea, a woman of immense power and intellect, deeply devoted to Jason, was abandoned when he chose a new, politically advantageous bride. Her societal role as a foreign woman, a wife, and a mother was abruptly stripped away, leaving her with no recognized outlet for her immense pain and rage. The aspects of her being that were deemed unfeminine, her strategic mind, her ferocity, her capacity for extreme action, were pushed into the shadow by the patriarchal norms of her time and her own initial efforts to conform. When Jason's betrayal activated these repressed elements, they did not simply appear as sadness, but as a terrifying, destructive force, leading her to infanticide, a horrifying act that cemented her place in myth as a monstrous figure. Her tale serves as a chilling testament to the unintegrated shadow's potential for devastation when it erupts from the depths. In contemporary society, this law manifests in myriad ways. Obest RV, the seemingly perfect public figure, whose carefully curated image suddenly shatters amidst scandal, revealing deeply manipulative tendencies. Or the woman in a relationship, who, unable to articulate her unmet needs directly, resorts to subtle emotional blackmail, leaving her partner baffled and resentful. Even on social media, the sudden vitriolic attacks from seemingly mild-mannered individuals can be an expression of a long-suppressed shadow feminine, finding an anonymous outlet for its raw, unchanneled energy. The workplace, too, offers fertile ground. The manager who appears nurturing but subtly undermines her subordinates. or the colleague who uses gossip as a weapon to control her environment. To wield this knowledge, to integrate this truth, is to fortify your own inner landscape. For the man, the arsenal demands recognition. Learn to discern the subtle cues of the unacknowledged. Shadow feminine in the women around you. Look beyond the superficial presentation, seeking inconsistencies between words and actions, or moments of intense emotional discharge that seem disproportionate to the external stimulus. Do not be quick to judge or condemn, but rather observe with a discerning eye, understanding that these manifestations are often signals of an internal imbalance, a call for integration. For the woman, the advice is more profound. Confront your own shadow. This requires a courageous descent into the personal unconscious, a willingness to acknowledge those desires, those impulses, those aspects of yourself that you have been taught to fear or suppress. It is through conscious integration, not denial, that true power and authenticity are unlocked. The second law, closely intertwined with the first, is the power of the unseen animus. This principle posits that within every woman resides an unconscious masculine principle, the animus, which when undeveloped or unintegrated can manifest as rigid opinion, critical judgment, or an aggressive need for control, often hidden beneath layers of conventional femininity. The animus, representing logic, spirit, and decisive action, when in shadow, can become a destructive inner voice, whispering doubts, fostering relentless criticism, and projecting rigid expectations onto others. Why does this dynamic hold such sway? Because the animus provides the structure and direction for a woman's outer life, her engagement with the world. Without conscious development, it can become a phantom steering the ship, leading to self-sabotage or the relentless pursuit of an external, often unattainable ideal. Consider the tragic figure of Antigone from Greek tragedy. While a heroine of principle, her unyielding adherence to divine law, her refusal to compromise with Creon's decree, even in the face of death, can be seen as an unintegrated animus driving her. Her conviction, while admirable, lacked the flexibility and negotiation that might have averted her demise and the subsequent destruction of her family. Her internal masculine principle, rather than providing balanced strength and decisive action, became an absolute, unwavering force, leading her to a tragic, inflexible end. This is not to diminish her heroic stand, but to illustrate how an animus, unchecked by the more compassionate and adaptable feminine aspects, can become rigid and destructive. In contemporary life, the unintegrated animus frequently manifests as the woman who is perpetually critical of herself and others, whose standards are impossibly high, leading to chronic dissatisfaction. It can be seen in the entrepreneur who drives herself relentlessly, yet struggles with emotional connection or genuine collaboration, pushing away those who could support her. It also surfaces in online forums where women engage in aggressive, dogmatic debates driven by an almost pathological need to be right or to impose their worldview. In relationships, this unintegrated animus might express itself as a constant need to intellectualize emotions, to analyze and dissect rather than simply feel, or as a tendency to dominate conversations with pronouncements rather than engage in true dialogue. To navigate this terrain, the arsenal offers clear directives. For the man, cultivate the ability to recognize the projections of the animus. When a woman appears overly critical, overly rational, or rigidly unyielding, understand that this might be the animus in its shadow form, demanding recognition. Avoid engaging in a battle of wills, for that only fuels the unintegrated masculine energy. Instead, seek to gently connect with her underlying emotions, her vulnerability, which the rigid animus is often trying to protect. For the woman, the path is one of conscious integration. Seek to understand your own inner critic, the source of your most stringent judgments. Are you projecting your own unfulfilled intellectual or professional ambitions onto others? Are you using logic as a shield against vulnerability? Engage with your animus not as an enemy to be silenced, but as a powerful force to be refined and directed consciously, allowing it to become a source of strength, clarity, and constructive action, rather than a hidden driver of rigid control. If you're enjoying this perspective and feel that this message resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and enable notifications so you don't miss any content that will further empower you. If you feel a growing restlessness and need to break free from old expectations and build a life guided by your own truth, know that this quest is not in vain. It's your authentic self preparing for the freedom and fulfillment that await you. There are powerful principles and practices that can illuminate this path of autonomy and self-affirmation, empowering you to live with an unshakable clarity and peace. In the pinned comment, we have made available resources that were carefully crafted for souls like yours, ready to live their most powerful personal revolution. The third law, a subtle yet potent force, is the manipulation of the archetypal mother. This principle reveals how a woman, consciously or unconsciously, can leverage the deeply ingrained archetypal image of the nurturing, life-giving mother to exert immense influence, often by cultivating dependence or guilt. This manipulation operates on a profound, almost instinctual level, tapping into humanity's primal need for care, security, and unconditional acceptance. Why is this so effective? Because the mother archetype is one of the most powerful and primordial in the collective unconscious, evoking deep emotional responses and a natural inclination towards trust and surrender. When this archetype is distorted, it becomes a tool for control, creating a symbiotic relationship where one party gains power by seemingly providing for another's fundamental needs, while subtly undermining their autonomy. Consider the myth of Demeter and Persephone. While a story of love and loss, it also subtly illustrates the immense power of the archetypal mother, whose grief for her abducted daughter plunged the world into winter, coercing the gods themselves to intervene. Demeter's emotional power, stemming from her maternal essence, held the very cycles of nature hostage. In a darker interpretation, one might see how a mother's overwhelming grief could be used to guilt-trip, to bind, to prevent the child from truly leaving the nest, creating a subtle but potent form of control. Her distress, while genuine, became a lever of immense, almost cosmic influence. In our modern world, this manipulation is omnipresent. Observe the mother who constantly sacrifices for her adult child, subtly reminding them of her efforts, thereby inducing guilt and preventing them from making independent life choices. Or the female leader in an organization who cultivates an image of being the team mother, indispensable and always available, yet subtly stifles initiative and independent thought among her subordinates, ensuring they remain reliant on her. Even in social circles, a woman might employ this tactic by offering excessive care or advice, making others feel indebted, thus securing her position as an indispensable figure. The martyr archetype, often associated with this dynamic, operates by broadcasting suffering to elicit sympathy and, ultimately, control. To arm yourself against such subtle forces, the arsenal advises keen discernment. For the man, cultivate emotional independence and a clear understanding of boundaries. Learn to distinguish genuine care from manipulative altruism. Be wary of appeals to guilt or excessive demonstrations of self-sacrifice that seem designed to elicit a particular response rather than to genuinely give. Recognize that true maternal love empowers, it does not bind. For the woman, reflect on your own impulses to care for others. Are your gestures truly selfless, or are they rooted in a desire for control or validation? Learn to differentiate between nurturing and enmeshing. The greatest strength lies in allowing others to find their own path, even if it means letting go. Denigrate the terrible mother aspect of the archetype, the force that allows for necessary separation and growth, even if it brings temporary pain. Until now, we have established the foundational pillars of influence, delving into the nuances of the shadow feminine, the unintegrated animus, and the archetypal power of the mother. You have begun to observe the subtle dynamics of the unconscious and the hidden motives that drive human interaction. But this is merely the groundwork, the defensive strategy of understanding. Now, we shall enter the territory of offense, the realm where conscious application of these insights can actively mold the perceptions of others to your advantage. The ensuing principles are not for the faint of heart, for they delve into the deeper currents of the collective unconscious, offering tools for profound, often unsettling, influence. The fourth law, a potent force of psychological warfare, is the cultivation of enigma. This principle asserts that a woman can wield immense power by deliberately cloaking her true intentions, motivations, and even aspects of her personality in an aura of mystery and ambiguity. This strategy taps into the human mind's inherent fascination with the unknown, its compulsive need to fill in the blanks, and its tendency to project desires onto that which it cannot fully grasp. Why is enigma so powerfully effective? Because clarity often breeds familiarity, and familiarity, in the hands of the careless, breeds contempt or complacency. Mystery, however, sparks curiosity, ignites the imagination, and creates a perpetual state of anticipation, keeping others constantly engaged and off balance. Consider the historical figure of Cleopatra. Her allure was not merely her beauty or her political acumen, but her profound ability to cultivate an image of inaccessibility and exotic mystique. She rarely revealed her full hand, employing elaborate theatrics, calculated delays, and a carefully constructed persona that kept both Caesar and Antony perpetually guessing and captivated. Her ultimate defeat was less a failure of her enigmatic strategy and more a consequence of overwhelming external forces. But her psychological hold over powerful men of her era was undeniable, built on a foundation of deliberate ambiguity. Her charm was amplified by the constant question mark that hung over her true self. In the modern world, this cultivation of enigma can be seen in the influencer who reveals just enough of her life to intrigue, but always holds back a deeper layer of personal truth, fostering a loyal following desperate for more. It is evident in the negotiator who maintains a poker face, allowing the opposing party to overthink and make concessions based on their own projected fears. In personal relationships, a woman who does not lay all her cards on the table immediately, who possesses an inner world she doesn't instantly broadcast, can maintain a powerful magnetic pull. The constant pursuit of understanding, fueled by a carefully managed absence of complete information, creates a subtle form of control. To master this art, the arsenal demands restraint and precision. For the man, learn to resist the urge to immediately categorize or define. Recognize when you are projecting your own desires or anxieties onto an unknown. Understand that a degree of mystery is natural and even healthy, but be vigilant against deliberate obfuscation designed to control. Seek clarity when necessary, but do not mistake a lack of immediate transparency for inherent malice. For the woman, the application is delicate. Choose carefully what you reveal and what you withhold. Do not confuse enigma with dishonesty or disengagement. True mystery is not about deceit, but about understanding that not every thought or feeling needs to be broadcast. It is about cultivating an inner sanctuary, a rich landscape of self that is not instantly consumable by others. Speak less, observe more, and let your actions, rather than exhaustive explanations, define you. A well-placed silence, a knowing glance, or an unexpected gesture can speak volumes without revealing a thing. The fifth and final law. A truly advanced tactic is the strategic use of vulnerability. This principle dictates that a woman can disarm, inspire loyalty, and exert profound influence by selectively revealing moments of perceived weakness, doubt, or emotional fragility. This is not weakness itself, but the strategic presentation of it. Why is this so potent? Because it creates an illusion of shared humanity, breaking down barriers of defense and inviting empathy and a protective instinct. In a world often dominated by displays of strength and unwavering resolve, carefully deployed vulnerability is counterintuitive, often catching others off guard and opening a path to deeper connection and, ultimately, control. Consider the legend of Guinevere, not just as a queen, but as a figure who, despite her power, often expressed her doubts and anxieties, especially to Lancelot. Her moments of perceived fragility, her emotional appeals, bound him to her in a way that mere royal command could not. It was her ability to appear human, to show cracks in her regal facade, that cemented his loyalty and devotion, leading him to ultimately betray his king. Her vulnerability, whether conscious or not, was a powerful tool in her influence over the greatest knight. We have journeyed deep into the seldom trodden paths of human psychology, uncovering the subtle yet potent forces that shape perception and influence. We began by observing the suppressed power of the shadow feminine, a dormant volcano of raw emotion and desire. We then explored the rigid, critical voice of the unintegrated animus, a hidden architect of self-sabotage and external judgment. We delved into the archetypal grip of the mother, a source of profound nurture that can, when distorted, become a subtle chain of dependence. Finally, we ascended to the advanced tactics, the calculated allure of cultivating enigma and the disarming, bonding force of strategic vulnerability. Together, these principles form a comprehensive understanding of the intricate psychological dance that underlies all human interaction. A map to navigate the hidden currents of the mind in the comments below. Share which of these advanced tactics you find the most profoundly impactful and why. If this odyssey into self-mastery and the deeper currents of human psychology resonates with your own inner quest, then subscribe to this channel. Join us as we continue to unravel the enigmatic secrets that lie within the human experience, empowering you to live a life of unwavering clarity and profound self-awareness. Your affirmation through a simple like is a powerful signal that this shared exploration holds significant value.